being like a guy and like a dude in the plant-based space, like, do you ever get people that are like, oh, you're such a little bitch, or like, they make fun of you?
No, I mean, what is there to make fun of? That that I look better than you, that I work out more than you, that like I have more energy on the weekends than you. Like, what are you making fun of me for? Like, you're the one that's like crashing. You're the one that's eating like shit. Like, you're the one that complains about your stomach. Like, you're the one who's farting it up. Like, you're the gross one. Like, you guys are fucking gross. Like,
there's a lot more vegan women than men, and part of that is because you hear this pressure of like, you need meat for muscle and it's manly to eat meat, and all this just rhetoric that makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, absolutely no sense. Like, how is like putting meat in your mouth like manly? Like.
And it looks like the audio levels are working.
Okay.
And now we just pray for the best.
Okay.
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 What the hell is up, you guys? My name is Jamie Logan, and today I am here with the vegan DJ, Sebastian.
What's up? What's up? It's your boy Seabass.
Seabass. Excuse me. Does Sebastian?
No. Everyone calls me. My name is Sebastian, but everyone refers to me as Seabass.
Yeah, Sebastian's, I guess, not like cool DJ, so Seabass it is. Today, guys, we are gonna get into Sebastian's transformative story about going vegan, how it changed his life. Talk a little bit about weight loss, spirituality. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about drugs and aliens.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's all intertwined.
It is. It is. So we're gonna kind of cover it all. And I met Seabass at this event, at the Veganuary event.
Right after Plant-Based World at the Javits Center. Yes.
Yes. And so we started chatting, and he was telling me the story, and I was like, okay, dude, I gotta have you on the podcast because you guys need to hear about what this amazing creature has gone through.
Yeah. So I've gone through a lot. I mean, I used to be very overweight. Right now I probably weigh like 200 pounds, but I was weighing 300 pounds. High school, college, gained a lot of weight, got super unhealthy. At one point, one of my closest friends was diagnosed with leukemia, and it was pretty tragic. But then I saw him, and he kind of said like, hey, have you ever like heard of Ram Dass? And like, do you know about like this? And I'm like, holy shit, like, I've been waiting for somebody to like talk to me about this for like years. And at that point, I knew it's not enough to know, you must do. So at that point, I shifted everything which I've like already read about and studied, but it's just time to start implementing this.
Wow. So Ram Dass, be here now.
Be here now.
He's a spiritual leader. I mean, take me back to the mindset that you were in when you were 300 pounds, maybe how it affected your everyday life, physically, emotionally.
Okay, sure. So, you know, it's interesting because it's definitely, you know, a dark place in my life, definitely feeling a lot of, you know, depression, unhappiness, and I feel like that was just my kind of cowardly suicide. Like I was just taking my own life slowly through not caring for myself, you know, just eating shitty food. And, you know, it was like kind of at the same time where he talked to me that I was just watching television and like a Pizza Hut commercial came on, and I'm just like, holy shit, it's just like, I thought that I was making this conscious choice to make myself unhealthy just to like go into like junk food and stuff, but it's like, no, it's like they want me to do this. Like they want me to eat this junk food. They want me to be unhealthy. They want me to be depressed. And it's like, at that point I realized I was just like this pawn in this like sick game I never signed up for. And I thought I was like taking control by making these unhealthy choices, but in reality I was just kind of being led by somebody else's kind of plan just to fall in.
Well, they see us as cha-ching, cha-ching. They're
Right.
like, that's money for me. And
Right.
they'll go at anybody's expense, whether it's the animals who had to suffer for that to get to the plate, or the environment, or our own health.
Right. It's all at the expense.
Totally.
Yeah.
So were you just like eating, like overeating when you were overweight? Were you just eating a lot of animal products?
Right, definitely. I mean, junk food, a lot of processed food, tons of animal stuff, chicken, cheese, pizza, pepperoni pizza. Everything is, you know, extra cheese, double pepperoni. And we live in a sick world where it's just like, it's not enough to eat one sentient being. It's like how many, at what expense can you eat, you know, like how many things have to die for this one meal?
Right. Right, it's like I've seen people do like the steak and the eggs and the lobster and add cheese, and I'm like, oh my god, how many animals had to be killed for just
and
this?
It's 3 times a day.
Yeah,
like it's insane. It's not normal.
No. So you came across Ram Dass. You got this friend that was, I guess, inspirational to you.
Right.
And how did you start shifting? What was the first couple steps that you took?
Like I'll never forget it. Actually, I like kind of just said like, okay, like I'm not eating meat anymore, and I just like told my mom, I told my parents, and they're like, all right, whatever, you know. Like I told my friends, I'm like, listen, guys, like I'm making this change. I'm not eating meat anymore, and they're like, yeah, all right, Seabass. Like, yeah, okay.
Sebastian. Wait, this is before you were the cool vegan DJ.
Well, I mean, like before I was the cool vegan DJ, but I was always Seabass.
Oh, okay.
But now I'm Seabass the vegan DJ. Well, Seabass kind of came about like in college days, like partying when it was like really just beer and pizza. And
Okay.
not a kale salad in the world.
Now Seabass has a whole new meaning.
Yes. I like to think like I'm evolving like a Pokemon. So this is just my newest Pokemon evolution.
Amazing. So the first step you took was kind of putting your words out there.
Right.
And I think that there's so much power to the words that we say. It's like casting a magical spell. You put out those words, I am no longer eating meat.
Right.
That's like a manifestation out there, because then once you say that, your actions will align with it. So whether it might happen a little bit slowly, but it is that first step. And for me, I did Veganuary, which was January 1st, 2018. I was like, all right, for 1 month, I can go vegan, plant-based, whatever. And in that month, I learned all the information. But what was cool about that was it didn't feel overwhelming. It felt like it was doable.
Right.
As opposed to having to say, oh, forever, like I'll never eat meat again, you know?
Right. Well, that was a very surprising part is like, I thought like, I'm like, okay, just this 1 week. And I thought like, after time, I would start craving these things more, but like quite the opposite happened. It's like after 1 week, I'm like, oh, like I don't like want to eat these things anymore. It's like the second it was like a month, I'm like, oh, like I thought I would be craving the chicken and the steak and all this stuff, and it's just like the opposite happened. I just like became kind of like averse to it.
Totally,
Yeah,
me too. So
yeah.
when you first did this, what year did you go vegan? And
talk
me through the benefits.
Right, so it was definitely like a slow transition. I definitely went like pescatarian and then like vegetarian, I guess. So I was definitely eating cheese, and then I was just like vegan, but like I couldn't give up pizza, especially living in New York. Like, so I was like vegan, but this was, maybe like 2017, 20 something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was kind of like right before like it became very trendy to be like vegan and stuff like that, and like all these vegan products really came to like the forefront. So in that sense, it was like very much a blessing in disguise, because I was like actually had to learn how to properly eat food without like all these alternatives. I was like, it's too easy now. It's like too over processed, and like so you hear a lot of people now. It's like, oh, I tried eating vegan, but it was so unhealthy. It was this. I'm like, yeah, because you're just eating vegan cheese and meat. It's like you didn't learn how to eat, quinoa or like bake a vegetable, like go to the farmer's market, like, eat beans, greens, like all this stuff. So I'm very fortunate to kind of have learned how to eat like, in a healthier way before it was so easy to eat unhealthy vegan. Like that, when I made that transition, there was no unhealthy vegans. There was no junk food vegans. Like that whole thing kind of came about later. So
and the reason that there is processed vegan food is because we're trying to show people you can still eat the foods that you like, from the burgers to the grilled cheeses to the ice cream sandwiches, and have no animal be harmed. And nobody's saying it's a health food, but the reason that you're going vegan is not necessarily for health. You can be super healthy and be vegan, but it's an ethical stance against animal abuse.
Right.
So, I mean, as you're saying, stick to the vegetables then. Nobody's forcing you to eat the vegan meat, but even the most processed vegan meats are not as bad as the counterpart animal flesh.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no karmic tie to it. You're not.
That too.
Yeah. You're not attributing to this horrific stuff that goes down in factory farms and, the overfishing, and like also like that's one thing like people, talk about the farms and factory farming, which is terrible, but more so like the oceans, like the ocean is like the lifeblood of our planet, and like we're really like the overfishing is what's killing the everything, and people don't realize how much that affects like the easiest way to save the oceans is to stop eating fish. And then that attributes to the coral reefs dying, which contributes to the weather patterns. It affects the currents in the ocean, which affects the top. And like, you know, now there's just horrible hurricanes in Florida and stuff. But like, have people ever realized there's like a tie from like overfishing to hurricanes? You know, it's like tough to comprehend.
They're like, I'll just use less straws.
Yeah.
Instead of, I'll just switch to paper straws. And we're like, well, how about stop eating the fish to save the fish instead?
Yeah.
Ever cross your mind? And they're like, oh. Yeah, it's, we live in this cognitive dissonance and people want to change the world, but they can't even change what they eat for breakfast.
Right, right. And so, like, we are a part of the world, right? So to better the world, you just have to better yourself because you are a part of the totality. Like, you are a part of the whole. Yeah. So by bettering the world, the easiest way is just to better ourselves and just be the best version of ourselves. And if you don't agree with something morally, like you see these farms and you see the overfishing and like you don't agree with that morally, but then there is that dissonance when you go to the dinner table, you go to the supermarket, you go to the restaurant, and it's like, how do we make that connection where it's just like, yeah, you can save the world by saving another being, another sentient life form. It's how you save yourself, by saving another.
I love that you said this. It is so true. We all are connected in so many ways, and the way we treat others ultimately always comes back to us, whether it's like through what's happening with the weather even. I mean, just karma in a sense. I so believe that it's a cycle, and it's like the laws of physics when you really look at it, that it comes back. So you seem like you're very disciplined, and you seem, I mean, you were telling me earlier that you were at yoga this morning. Like, what does it mean to you to be the best version of yourself?
I mean, that's a great question. Just, first of all, I think it's just like what you kind of believe in, like your intuition. I feel like we really need to just tap into our intuition, our intuitive voice, and the whole notion of like the angel and the devil on the shoulder. It's like we all kind of know what the right and wrong decision is, but it's like, why is it so much easier to lean into the devil, to lean into that bad decision, you know? It's like, and I feel like the more that we kind of just lean into that right intuition, and just the stronger that intuitive voice becomes, and the easier it is to kind of like lead us, and the easier it is to know what the right thing to do is, like the more we kind of do the right thing.
Yeah, we're very, very disconnected. I do think that a lot of us have just become on autopilot, and we're like so caught up in social media and our phones, and we don't actually take the time to have that reflection or even just sit quietly with our thoughts. Many people are just scared to sit and meditate because they're afraid of their thoughts. And so that's why we like constantly reach for the distraction.
Right.
Or it's like, oh, I don't want to be bored, or oh, I feel uncomfortable in an elevator and I don't want to talk to anybody else, so let me reach for my phone.
Yeah, so I like to tell everyone that like the best way to start with like meditation is reading. Because if you even just try to like read a book nowadays, it's like, you know, you get 2 pages before you're like, wait, what was I reading? Like my mind just wandered, right? So it's like we can't even just like focus on the words of a page anymore. So it's just like start with like focusing on a book for 5 minutes, see how long before you start thinking about something else, and yeah.
It's good. So what's a daily routine like for you today?
Well, today I woke up at 6, I went to yoga at 7, I had a doctor's appointment. After that, I packed for my trip tomorrow. I went to the farmer's market at Union Square, which I do at least 2 to 3 times a week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I take it to the next level, and I cook literally everything I eat. So,
okay.
Yeah, I cook every night. I'm like a huge chef and cooking person. Home chef, not professional.
Wow.
Yeah, but
tell me why you've decided to do that, and what are some of the things you make?
Well, now it's soup season, so I'm making a lot of soups. Butternut squash soup is a big hit. Yeah. And yeah, it's so, like, it starts with, you know, buying the pre-cut squash at Trader Joe's, and then one day you buy the whole thing and you peel it and you're like, wait, that tastes so much better. And then after that, you go to the farmer's market and you get a vegetable from the farmer's market and you're like, wow, I forgot like what an actual vegetable is supposed to taste like. And like, it's just so on another level. And that's like another disconnect. You just see everything is here for convenience, and people don't want to like put any effort into anything they do. So one, it's like very meditative for me to cook, like just sitting there, like chopping the onion, peeling the potato, like it's very meditative. It's very in the moment, in the flow state. I mean, you're very connected to the food, which is like what gives you energy, life, source, whatever. Yeah, it's beautiful to have that connection. I feel like that's very disjointed, and that whole notion of like, or the whole saying of like nothing's as good as like a home cooked meal, like it's like lost on people nowadays. Like people can't like cook something anymore. It's like everyone's just like running to the restaurant, and it's just like truly, it's just like I've gotten to the point where it's just like I just make the best food at home. And it's like oftentimes I go to a restaurant and I'm just like disappointed. I'm like, I could have made this at home. It would have been better.
It's actually funny because when you start doing that, you realize that when you go out, they put sometimes so much oil and salt on things that you kind of become sensitive to it.
Right.
And I was telling you right before we started this podcast that I was stuffing my face with a vegan banana cream muffin, and I don't feel great right now. So it's a lot of the time for me, like people might say, oh, I'm busy, and it's convenient for me just to run to the store or the deli and pick up a club sandwich, or I go to this place called Orchard Grocer, and it's just so good. Like they have the best sandwiches. So for me, I'm like, oh, I can get a sandwich in 10 minutes and be out the door and go.
Well, so I'm also actually gluten-free because I'm like allergic to gluten.
Oh.
So not only am I completely vegan, I'm completely vegan and gluten-free. Which is also like a bit of a blessing in disguise because it's just like, yeah, I can't just kind of, eat a piece of bread if I'm like, it's like that morning, it's like, I can't just grab a bagel. It's like, it would be nice to have the convenience and that enjoyment sometimes, but then it's just like kind of forces me to like, all right, now I got to make myself a tofu scramble or, this and that. So.
Wow. I hear that as an excuse from non-vegans. People will say, oh, I'm gluten-free. I could not also go vegan. What would your advice be to them?
I mean, I am the example, like, nothing's impossible. Like, if I can do it, if I can live the life I live, trust me, you can do absolutely anything. Like, you can do anything you just set your mind to or believe you can do. Like,
your allergic reaction to gluten doesn't justify killing animals.
Yes. No, it does not. It does, yeah.
I mean, like, it's just an excuse. People literally jump through loopholes to justify their meat and dairy addiction.
It is an addiction. And I mean, as you know, like, I'm sure you know, like, cheese literally targets, like, the part of your brain that, like, heroin targets, right? And that's, like, I saw that personally because, like, for me, it was so easy to give up, like, meat and chicken and stuff like that. And, like, dairy was the hard part to give up. It's like cheese. Like, I can never give up cheese. Like, you hear that all the time. But it is like a drug. And just, like, once you kind of detox from that, it's like you don't get that craving anymore. Then it's easy. But everyone is addicted to cheese. That's the problem. That's why there's cheese in everything. Like, it's an actual addiction.
And now I think of it as coagulated cow breast milk, and I'm disgusted. Pus. Ew. Like, there's nothing, to me, I'm like, you just think about how bad it smells, and it's like there's mold in there, and like blood, and ooh.
It's disgusting. But besides all of that horrendous stuff, it's also like the highest traces of like plastics.
Really?
Like the PFAS and stuff in milk because they use all like the rubber hoses and like the plastics. So actually milk has like some of the highest like microplastics and stuff. So nowadays there's like all this huge talk on microplastics and the ocean. It's like, but everyone's still eating the cheese and it's crazy. So it's like that disconnect and people don't want to admit it. It's like, it's the culture of finger pointing where it's easier to kind of shift the blame to anything but your personal choice.
I'm gonna have to look further into this. I've never heard that before.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. So being that like you do a lot of your own cooking, you're also in the party scene, you got a big social life.
Yes.
How do you balance the social interactions? Because it does take a little bit more effort if you're cooking most of your own meals and then you're around all your friends who might not be vegan.
Right.
Tell me about that.
I definitely don't go out to eat with people. That's my least favorite thing to do. I mean, or like I definitely am like self-sufficient in that aspect. So if I'm meeting somebody, if my friends are going out and I have to go meet them at the restaurant, I definitely will eat before or plan to have food waiting for me at home after, and I'll join them for a drink and stuff like that.
Hey, this is great advice.
Yeah, and it's just like uncomfortable to get into. Like, you really can't convince anyone of anything, right? And it's like, I don't know how you deal with it. Like, it's so tough to going in that social environment when people are eating out and you're like, what do I just jump into it? Be like, oh, hey, I heard you like, abusing animals. Like,
it's
looks like a lot of death on your plate there, buddy.
It's awkward.
It is awkward.
But I'm always down for the confrontational conversation.
It is, but then at what point it's like, are you ruining their time? It's like, it's a fine balance between educating, but not just, we also don't want to be like the preachy vegan. Like, I don't want to, I feel like sometimes it can just be too much and it just turns people away even from like, if you're just like too aggressive, then they don't want to hear anything at all.
I know what you mean, but it's like such a weird balance because it's like there's literally a murdered animal on the table, and I'm like,
Right.
if that were a dog, like we would all be screaming. But then it's like a pig and nobody cares, so I'm like, how should I react? Like, do I have to desensitize myself to this so that I can be around it, and I have to like numb myself and like forget about my time in the factory farms and undercover investigations I've done and like rescues and being in the slaughterhouses? I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I have PTSD seeing it on there. So I like your advice of like, if you can't be pleasant to be around, don't go.
Yeah.
Because I think that like we need to maintain this balance of like, if we can be positive and answer people's questions and remain calm and be attraction rather than promotion kind of thing, and people see us as like, wow, like I want to be more like that, and that really looks good what's on your plate. Maybe I'll try that. Like, maybe that's beneficial. But I find that I'm usually like not like happy when I'm around that stuff.
Right. And I mean, that's like, you know, when you talk about like striking the balance, and I think that's like really the most convincing. It's like, you know, I'm up doing yoga, like I work a full day, like I'm doing all these things, I'm out DJing, I'm out to the club till the morning, like after parties, this and that, and it's like, how do you do it, Seabass? And like, I have so much energy because I'm vegan, like I'm eating just plants, it's all electric, it's all light, it's all just like healthy stuff. It's like, that's how I'm able to do it. That's how I'm able to like be so sharp. I'm able to do all these things. I'm able to have energy.
He's like, I only took 2 tabs of acid,
Yeah.
but it's fine. let's be real. But yeah, I do think that you can definitely have the energy, and people will look at you and they'll say he is a walking billboard for a plant-based diet.
Yes, and that's what I want to be. That's what I strive to be, because like that's like the best way.
Yeah.
It's like, be the billboard, be the advertisement for this lifestyle. Like, you really can't preach it on, but like over the years, like friends come to me, be like, hey, like what is, like, I want to be more plant-based. Like, give me some tips now, right? And it's like, not from me preaching to them, it's from them just like observing me and observing my changes.
Yeah.
Like seeing how much weight I've lost, like how much better I look now, like how much more energy I have, like all these things, and that's what gets their attention.
Totally. I do recommend, if you guys have the power to, you can be the person that suggests the restaurant to go to, and that way you just have your friends or family go to that vegan restaurant that hopefully they'll enjoy, and that's a way to expose people, and then you don't have to feel uncomfortable at the same time. But I do think that there is a lot to be said in recognizing that, like, we don't have the power to necessarily force somebody to change. Like, they have to have that light bulb go off for them, like it did for us.
Right.
I've tried forcing food down people's throats, and it just doesn't work. But what I can provide the information, and what they do with that information, that's on you, buddy.
Right.
Like,
right. And that's like, I like to joke. I mean, because, you know, I got into this whole vegan space from just like, you know, reading books and watching all the documentaries and all that. And I like to joke, like, I'm still waiting for the pro-meat argument. Like, there is none. It's like every single aspect. It's like the ethics, you know, the health, like the morals. Like, what's the pro-meat argument? Like, there is none, you know? And it's like, now there's like this whole freaking like carnivore push.
Oh,
and, like,
God.
And it's just like, are you guys not seeing that it's just like this huge industry that has this power that's just like launching this like full-fledged like psychological operation of like convincing you now that like, oh no, it's like meat, like vegan's unhealthy. Being vegan isn't nothing new, you know? Like, there's like 80-year-old, 90-year-old vegans, like you see them on Instagram, people, they look 40 years old, and it's like, this is my case study. Like, where's the person that's been carnivore for 50 years? Like,
Nobody.
You guys,
They're dead.
They're dead, right?
Yeah, they're in the ground. And you're absolutely right. And I think with the stupid carnivore trend and diet, people will say, I didn't feel good being vegan. And I'm like, okay, what did you eat? And they're like, well, I only ate raw fruits and fasted 2 days. I only ate 2 days out of the week and fasted the other 5. And I'm like, what does that have to do with veganism? Like, you had an eating disorder, and then you tell me you don't feel good, and then you blame it on veganism. It's like, shut up. Right. You are putting a bad name for us.
Or, well, now it's like, you know, people say it's like, oh, like I tried to go vegan, I didn't feel good. It's like, I was just eating Impossible Whoppers. It's like, me as a vegan, like, I was like, no, like we were supposed to defeat these companies like Burger King. It's like, now they launch Impossible Whopper. It's like, now it's like, we're going there. It's like, no, we were so close. Like, we're trying to defeat this monster. Like, these are the companies we're trying to not be like, not support, and it's just like, so it's nice that they have like the vegan options. I don't know, I feel kind of like, I don't know how to feel about this. Like, I feel mixed about seeing these kind of bigger companies take on like plant-based kind of.
You're damned if you do, you're
Yeah.
damned if you don't. Because
Yeah.
if the companies don't have the unhealthy Beyond Meat or burger, then people will say, oh, I can't eat vegetables all day. Like, I cannot only eat fruit. I need like a burger. And it's like, okay, well, then have your vegan burger. And then all of a sudden, then they're like, oh, I don't want to eat processed food. And it's like, which one is it, buddy?
Right.
Like, do you want to be the whole food plant-based vegan, like, and feel great? And
Well, I have nothing against that, right? Like,
Yeah.
I've been to like awesome like vegan chains. Like, I remember I ate like Plant Powered in like San Diego one time, and I was just like obsessed. I'm like, oh my god, it was like 7 a.m. Like, we need this for the plane. Like, we need this to go, right? But it's like, I'm all about supporting that, but like, I feel weird about supporting like a vegan option at like a McDonald's or something, because like, you guys are like the reason the industry is the way it is, right? Like, they're the biggest purchaser of beef and like all this stuff. So it's like all these regulations for like to make it more efficient and cheaper to cost, and they kill more animals. So it's like now, like, is it? I don't know how to. Yeah.
Here's the dilemma. That it's a dilemma, and it's like, do we fund like a McDonald's, the plant-based version? Do we want to show that there's a demand there? I mean, the dilemma is like, we live in a non-vegan world. So it's like, if I just said I'm only going to support vegan businesses, that is it. Like, I just don't know how doable that would be. Like, if I find myself traveling and I need something to eat, and the only place I can go to is Chipotle, I'm gonna go to the Chipotle. And so I think that there needs to be some type of balance, and I do find that it's important to show that there is a plant-based demand, because you are seeing these big meat companies like Tyson Foods, they're buying plant-based products and selling that, and my hope is that over time you'll see less animals being killed and more plant-based products that are in demand. So we don't really, who knows what the answer is,
Right.
really. We just need like almost like a spiritual awakening as a society.
We do. And I think it's happening. And I think, you know, tying that back against to bettering yourselves, right? It's like, if you want your neighbor to wake up, like, you got to wake the fuck up. Like, you got to be that light bulb that's so bright that they can't deny it. And like, that's like how to impact.
Yeah, I mean, and one of the ways we know that we are starting to see the spiritual awakening is because people are starting to see aliens. You guys are like, wait, what? They're like, pause, rewind. What the fuck did she say? Yeah, no, I'm serious. Like, I'm reading this book right now. It's called Making Contact, and I'm going to be interviewing the author, and we were just chatting about how like big the universe is, and like, what is life? What is the fucking meaning of life? I don't know. Maybe it's the acid, the drugs that are, but we're trying to figure it out. I don't know. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, like, I think that we've been trying to figure out for forever, you know, and it ties back to like the shamans and all that stuff. And they were in contact with, you know, beings or entities. Like, are those the same aliens? But the interesting part is like, all those kind of shamanic traditions, like, that person was like usually supposed to be vegan or plant-based or fasting. So it's like not eating animals is always a part of like spirituality or getting closer to source or God or the aliens, whether they're now. So it's like veganism is a part of that. So that's like, you know, not eating meat is also helps with like meditation. If you read any like old books, like, you know, on meditation or Buddhism, like, not abstaining from meat has always been a part of that. So if you want to get closer to the aliens, go vegan.
Yeah, exactly. I always find it, I'm like, how crazy can I get on here? Like, are people totally gonna write me off for like, I don't know, I do believe in aliens and we live in a big universe. And after reading this book, I swear, you guys, I'm like, there's a show on Netflix, it's called The Alien Abduction.
Abduction in Manhattan or something?
Abduction in Manhattan.
Yeah. Or the Manhattan Abduction, maybe.
And I'm just like, I'm seeing aliens everywhere. I'm like, in my yoga studio, there was a sticker with a little alien on there. And I'm like, oh my God, they're coming for me. Like, is this a sign that I'm gonna get abducted?
Maybe you want to get abducted. Maybe being abducted is a good thing.
I don't know. But I'm like, how crazy can I get on here? Because listen, first and foremost, we're vegan. We're talking about animal rights here, but I'm open to the spirituality talk. I'm open to hearing about, like, I do hear about how mushrooms and acid and different drugs have actually opened people's mind to going vegan and like caring about the world. Maybe that's what people need for a spiritual awakening.
Absolutely. I mean, like, if you take mushrooms, you don't want to hurt anything. That's the last thing you want to do, right? Yeah. So it's like, you look at your dinner plate on mushrooms, you might reconsider your life.
I've heard people that this happens to. Yeah, they'll be looking at the meat and they see the animal. It's like as if the mushrooms have somehow deprogrammed people to just see the flesh on the plate and see it for what it really is.
That's the mushroom's way of talking to us, because the mushroom
Yeah.
can't speak, but we ingest the mushroom, and then those thoughts we have, or the way we see things, the way we feel, that is the mushroom communicating with us. So if a lot of people are getting that message to stop eating other sentient beings, that's, maybe the mushrooms are the aliens.
The mushrooms are the aliens, guys. I don't know. You would think that we took mushrooms before starting this podcast. My God, we're like.
That's part 2.
Part 2, yo, that would be crazy. When I originally started this podcast, it was called Under the Vegfluence, and I started in college, and I was definitely under the influence of God knows what. I was a threat to society, okay, as a teenager, and so I started Under the Vegfluence, and I would like have a drink like while talking about these things, and it got wild, but I had to rebrand as we grew up.
As we like to Pokemon evolve. It's our evolution.
Oh my God, yeah. It's true. So tell me about Fabish.
Right, so.
And what you do there.
So I work for a company, Fabish now. We're all vegan, gluten-free, organic, no preservative food company you can buy in stores. We're actually the first organic and baked falafel sold in stores.
Wow.
And then we make a line of dips out of aquafaba. So we got like the world's best store-bought tzatziki. We got a mayo, which is amazing. We got ranch. We got all kinds of new stuff, sour cream and onion dip with our good friend Mario Fabri, trying vegan with Mario. And yeah, so we're just trying to make food that's accessible to everyone. It's also top 9 allergen friendly, so no nuts, no soy. So really everyone can eat it. And like the biggest problem or the biggest challenge with like, going out or being in the New York party scene or whatever is like that late night food, right? Because people hit up after the club, they go on pizza, they're going to McDonald's, whatever. But like for me, it's like having Fabish at home. That's what saves me. It's like I just get home, I throw the Fabish in the air fryer, and it's like that's my meal. So it's just
so
like
good.
It's able to like. So another thing is like people love to counter veganism by saying it's like, well, at some point humans needed to eat this or this to survive. I'm like, yeah, maybe, but like now we are blessed where we don't have to. Like it's all accessible to us. Like all the supplements, all the plants, everything in the supermarket, like it's there now. Like now is the time to shift into that best version of yourself. And now is the time to evolve and like use what's available, It's like that's the benefit of living in the present. In the future is that we have all these options available to live any lifestyle that we want to.
Well, you brought me some of this Fabish, so I'm going to try it, and I will give you guys my review of it, but it looks amazing. I'm very excited. What are some of the challenges with starting a vegan brand like this and selling it to non-vegans?
It's a good question. I mean, just a lot of the conventional stuff is just cheaper. And that's what people know, right? So there's like a lot of kind of education. Like, yeah, we are a premium product. We try to use glass for everything. We try to like avoid plastic, right? We use all fresh ingredients. So we're sourcing, fresh cucumber. We grind it ourselves. We get whole spices that we grind ourselves. So it's just like, yeah, it's more costly. It's a premium product, but it's like the best. And it's the way you got to take care of yourself.
I love that.
It's a form of like self-love.
Totally. And where can people buy it?
You can buy it online directly from us, or if you're a Hungry Root consumer, also we're the condiments like purple carrot boxes. We'll be on Thrive Market. We're in some smaller specialty stores throughout the city. Wow. You'll see our products, kind of different product lines are all over the place, but we're growing and it's.
I'm super excited to try and check it out because it looks delicious. I mean, the falafel with the dips. Who doesn't love a good falafel?
Yeah, a vegan's best friend for years.
Yeah, I think that's what sometimes we go wrong is like we'll be telling some of our family and friends, we're like, get the wakame with the goji berries and the fucking mulberry. It's really, there's a lot of iodine and it's like they don't know what we're talking about. So it's like to be able to say, hey, here's a falafel sandwich, it's something that they know and that they're not like weirded out by.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, we're trying to kind of like make all like the comfort classics that you remember as a kid. So that's why our newer product is like a sour cream and onion dip. So it's like nostalgia with potato chips for, Super Bowl, whatever's coming up. Thanksgiving, we just launched like a limited edition stuffing flavor falafel, which is really good. So yeah, just kind of just reinventing all like the comfort classics that you were raised on, but just healthy, vegan, organic spin.
So awesome. Well, I'm really glad to hear that you're doing that and that you were able to work in the plant-based space as well.
Right. Like, so after going plant-based for a while, I was working at WeWork, and this company was started by my longtime friend. I actually met my boss on my 4th birthday. So our parents were friends.
Oh.
And then me and his youngest brother like grew up like super close friends. And then so his brother and his wife, she was like on the Food Network. She won this cooking show, and then she kind of used that winnings to start this company.
Oh.
And then they were growing where they were just making everything themselves, like super just tiny company. And then once they grew to that level where they just needed someone, I was just there. I was like, I'm the vegan guy you can trust. Like, I'm already vegan. I'm already about this. Like, I'm ready to just like sell this. Like, I believe in this so much. Like,
Wow.
So I was just, I was being myself, waiting for the opportunity, just like, bettering myself, being just open to the world, to what happens. And
So this is an award-winning chef started this, and is she vegan or?
like, she's plant forward. She's had some changes now. She like has a daughter, so, but they're mostly
Plant-based.
Mostly plant-based, but we're traditional Polacks, and they got their family and everything, and pressures, and
they have you.
they have me. They have
and
me.
they need you
They have
to
me.
yell
Yes,
at them.
Yes,
and
I
tell
know.
them.
Trust me, but no,
Fabulous.
I told them we're only hiring vegans from now on. So.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's great that I think that they're open and willing to make all their products plant-based. I think it's so important, and it sends a signal to the industry as a whole, when companies are able to thrive and show that they're successful and that it's doable and that there's a demand for it.
Right.
Put our money where our mouths are.
Yes. Yes.
I think that's what it is.
Health
right?
is wealth.
Yeah. It absolutely is. So being like a guy and like a dude in the plant-based space, like, do you ever get people that are like, oh, you're such a little bitch, or like they make fun of you?
No, I mean, what is there to make fun of? That I look better than you, that I work out more than you, that like I have more energy on the weekends than you? Like, what are you making fun of me for? Like, you're the one that's like crashing, you're the one that's eating like shit, like you're the one that complains about your stomach, like you're the one who's farting it up, like you're the gross one, like you guys are fucking gross. Like,
Absolutely, I completely agree with you. I love that because you are able to show, like, it's like, well, look at you and then look at me. You know? Proof is in the vegan pudding.
Right, proof is in the vegan pudding, exactly. I'm like, you guys are gross. Like, and I hear people complaining about how they feel or how they sleep. I'm like, yeah, like I told you that 4 hours ago when you were eating that disgusting shit.
Ew,
like,
and I'm like, you smell weird.
Yeah.
It's true. And I think that it takes a strong person to be able to kind of like step away from what everybody else is doing and to be like, I don't believe in that and I'm going to do it in my own way. I think a lot of humans, part of the reason that most people I don't think are vegan yet is because they want to just fit in and they want to like be socially accepted. And so especially I find that there's a lot more vegan women than men. And part of that is because you hear this pressure of like, you need meat for muscle and it's manly to eat meat and all this just rhetoric that makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, absolutely no sense. Like, how is like putting meat in your mouth like manly? Like, isn't it manly to just like I don't know, like,
I guess like this dominance of like hunting and this like they think they're apex predators. Meanwhile, they see a spider and they like run away.
I'm not a fan of spiders either. But
but
I don't kill them. I don't kill them, but I don't like them.
But it's like you see these people out in the woods. They like call themselves hunters, yet like the target that they're hunting has no idea that they're about to be killed. Yet then, as soon as that victim, the deer, or maybe if it's a bear or something, as soon as they turn around and they start running after the hunter, they're running back to their car. They couldn't face that animal without a gun.
Right. Yeah, I think like that's kind of trickles down to like the problems with our society now. It's like you teach a child that this one sentient animal is okay to kill and this one isn't. Like, why is it okay to kill the deer or the cow and not your dog, right? And then that kind of gets translated into people, right? Where like, so this kind of person is okay, but this kind of person isn't okay. And that's kind of where like racism and like bigotry like develops from that notion where it's like, we're all sentient beings, like, but this one's okay to kill, this one's not okay to kill. So then it's just like, it's translated to people where it's like, this person's okay to like, this person's okay to hate. But like, they're both people, like what separates them? It's like that kind of that notion of like, yeah, this animal's okay to kill, this one's not okay to kill. Like, shouldn't be killing anything.
Exactly. It's the speciesism that
The species, yeah.
Yeah, we've created and that we've been taught as young kids. It's like, oh, these are our companion animals at home and these animals we eat. It's like, why? Who said
Right.
that? What's the difference?
Right, and then like, you know, there's like that horrible like, you know, dog festival in China or whatever. And it's like every once in a while your normie friend shows like, how fucking weird is it? Like, this is how I feel about you every day. Like, how are you not getting that?
Yes, exactly.
Like,
it's so
it's
true.
like, you're almost there, you're so close. But
And you know, as you were bringing up the Yulin Dog Meat Festival,
Yeah.
it brought me back to when I was like 10 or 11 years old. This is before I was vegan. I remember hearing about this and being just like outraged, like disgusted and horrified and crying. And I saw it online somewhere. And like looking back, it just goes to show how most of us have a vegan heart. We just don't always connect it with our actions right away. And I mean, eventually I'm glad that I did. And you know, veganism for me, it's like a start. And then from there I can like, you know, I'm not eating animals. And then from there I can like advocate for many other things. It's not like an end all be all to
right.
be,
Right.
you know, there's always things that I can improve on. But it's about being open and willing to just learn, you know?
Right, like that's, yeah, I love how you said that. Like that's how I view it too. It's like the bare minimum is being vegan. Like, I don't know how people don't see that. It's like, where do we go from here? Now we can like affect real change. Now we can really better. Now we can really tackle complex, nuanced issues. It's like, this is obvious to me. And it's just, yeah, it's just surprising people aren't there. It's like, you know, where you brought up like, how do people condemn you? It's like, oh, are you like weak? It's like, oh, I forgot you're not vegan. It's like, I'm like so normalized to me. It's like, yeah, I go to the farmer's market, I cook, I clean, like I do all my shit. Like I work out. It's like, oh yeah, like you're not vegan. It's like, you know, I forget that other people aren't vegan.
I do too.
Yeah.
I know. It just seems so weird to me.
Yeah.
I forget that I wasn't always vegan.
Right.
It's like, it feels like another lifetime.
Yes.
I guess, you know, I will say that there's something to be said about, like, I never actually went to the store and bought animal products, which is interesting because I went vegan when I was 18 and I was vegetarian before that. And so I guess there was such a disconnect from like where my food was coming from. And it was just kind of like, okay, well, it's in the house, it's here, I'm just going to eat it because this is like what I've always known to be.
Right.
You said you grew up in a Polish family?
Yeah, my parents immigrated from Poland, so I'm like the first person in my family tree to be born here. Got a lot of family in Poland. I visit there very often. I'm there every summer, hanging out with grandma, and I'm blessed. My mom's a travel agent, so I've been blessed to travel a lot. I've been all over the world, and it's really cool. And, it can be a little challenging to find places to eat sometimes, but I make it work, and like that's also another thing I feel very accomplished for. It's like, oh, if I was able to go to, you know, obscure places like Romania or China and like able to like maintain my ethics and morals, like I can do this, like I can do anything, you know. It just
Absolutely. And how has your family's reaction been to your lifestyle change?
Really good. I mean, like they're just happy I lost weight. My parents are now like they're like pescatarian, vegetarian, but they definitely have completely stopped eating like meat and chicken since I went because they just saw like the benefits. Like, I mean, at some points, like you gotta just become undeniable, and it's like that's like, yeah, like all right, we can't deny it. It's like I show them all the literature, like I show them all the movies and stuff, and yeah, and like I had a really profound experience with my mom in like Peru many years ago, where it just kind of the spiritual aspect of it became undeniable.
Did you guys do ayahuasca?
No, I've actually never done ayahuasca yet, but
Yes.
not yet. But it was just we had like this guide who like we ended up having like the same birthday, and like I was dropping all these like profound wisdom on him, and like he was like saying to him, and like at one point he pulled my mom aside. He's like, I'm pretty sure this guy's like a shaman pretending to be a tourist, and like he took me to all these like, you know, ceremonies with his elders. We went to like Machu Picchu. We had this like super like profound shit. There was like a lot of synchronicities, a lot of like really crazy shit happening. And it was just like me and my mom out there, and then So that was like really awesome because she's like, oh, okay, there's like something to this. Like he's not just like making this up. Like there's like something actually like going on.
My son is a shaman.
Yes.
Wow.
I was officially initiated on that day.
Yo, that's
so I was
great.
tapped in and like, yeah, my shaman, I guess now just told me, he's like, yeah, like, whatever you choose to do from here on out, it's like up to you, but like you're officially on the path.
Wow.
And that's why I joke, and that's why I wrote on my business card Falafel Shaman. So that's my official job title at Fabilicious, Falafel Shaman. And I like the joke, it's all humor, but it's...
That's totally how I should have introduced you. Damn it. We'll have to redo the intro.
Okay.
But that is amazing. I mean, listen, I really do believe that we are spiritual beings having an experience that's a physical experience. What's the saying? We're spiritual beings having a physical experience.
Yes. Exactly.
Which is like, that's maybe why we're running into all these problems here on Earth.
And that's exactly right. There is no other. It's like just our perceptions. Like we're just like encountering ourselves, right? We're just like looking in the mirror, and then so that's like when people like they look around the world and they see all these like horrible things going on, and they don't necessarily agree with it, but then they make immoral choices in their own life, right? So they don't agree with war or death or killing or murder, but then they go and they eat, chicken or steak or whatever. It's like you're agreeing to that on that like spiritual karmic level where it's like you are participating in this killing, and then that gets reflected in the greater sphere of like your world.
Yeah, it's so wild, and it's taken me a second to like kind of start to process these things. I'm like, wait, you are me and I am you and we are one, and like that animal right there is me, but also a part of the source and God. And it's like, holy shit, like, whoa, I'm confused. You lost me. Still trying to figure this out, you guys, but let's start with like leaving animals off our plate, and then we can talk about, the getting more spiritual, and who knows. It's great. There's a whole range of people that listen to this, and I'm like, okay, some are like very spiritual and like very knowledgeable about this stuff, and I don't want to say something that's like totally wrong, but then there's people that like have never been introduced to spirituality and like don't believe in God, and some are in word source or whatever you call it, and so there's a whole range. And
right.
So
I mean, that's just like a loaded term, right? It's like God has so much connotation to it, right?
Yeah.
And it's like I also don't want to like, shit on anybody who does believe in that traditional sense, but just kind of like the notion that there is like a God is very silly. Like we are God. There's nothing outside, like the totality, the universe, everything, that's God. Like if we're all a part of that. There isn't something outside of everything.
Yoga teaches that God is like our true nature,
right,
and that it's love. God is love. And so it's that like eternal bliss and happiness, and that when we start to purify our karmas and peel back these layers at our natural state, at our raw, pure state, we are just pure bliss and happiness.
Right.
And so what happens is that we get like, so we're jaded from that. So life is about just trying to remember.
Yes.
Remember to like rejoin to that union, to that state of bliss and happiness.
Yeah, yoga means union.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly. To remember, it's been, listen, this past year has like completely like opened my eyes to a lot of spirituality and teachings that it's life-changing, because I think if you can use these things to make yourself a better person, to be the best version of yourself, then it's like, why not? But some people use religion as an excuse to do bad things.
Right. And that isn't actual like religion, right? That isn't like spirituality or spirit. That's just like, once again, it's like this excuse or justification for being a shitty person. It's like very horrible. Yeah, this whole like, I think it's also a very like American thing. It's like how to use like, religion to like hate the other or other yourself from another group of people. It's like, you're not doing this, you're not religious enough. And that's like very twisted. That's like, but I noticed that's like a very kind of American thing. Like my grandparents in Poland, like for them, like going to church was always about like praying for people. It's like, make sure you pray for like everyone like you want to wish good. Like make sure you remember your grandma, like wish your mom good, wish your thing good. And it's like a very like American like notion to be like, this person isn't good enough, like this person's not going this and this and this, and it's like, it's very strange.
It's
right?
like
And
that person needs to be prayed for.
Right, exactly. That just actually goes against all the teachings. Like you haven't actually even looked into like what you quote unquote are like preaching about here. Like,
I know. Sometimes I catch myself in the moment though, like even today I was on the train and somebody like stepped on my foot and I was like, I caught myself. I was like so mad about it. I'm like, dude, like there's all this space on the train. You have to be like right next to me, you know?
Yeah.
And then you catch yourself and you're like, listen, that is me.
Right. Yes.
And
Yes.
and that is, I'm looking at God right now. So, you know, I mean, it's okay. You stepped on my foot. Nice to meet you. See you. Have a nice day. You know?
Yes.
And it's like, do I need to get worked up about these little things?
Right.
I think the way we treat others is a reflection of what's going on the inside.
That's 100% it. You just nailed it right there. Like, that's completely it. Like, if you're at peace with yourself and you love yourself, like, you would never condemn another person. You would never kind of show that hate towards another or another being. And so it really is that, like, reflection. And it's just that outward manifestation of what we're feeling on the inside. And that's why we all have to just, like, love ourselves, accept ourselves, be the best person we can be. And then we're going to start interacting with our environment, with other people in that best way.
Yeah, it is true. I think that, like, going vegan, it was a time in my life where I was starting to become independent, starting to question things, starting to see the world around me and interpret it for myself. And it was also a place in my life where I was finding more peace. And then I think that's what, I don't know, my actions might have just like aligned with that. And so a notion of you just saying like, when you're at peace with yourself, you don't want to harm other beings. I think a lot of the time we just have so many things happening in our minds that we don't think about how our actions might be affecting others. So just becoming more mindful is really important, and you're doing so much. And the animals thank you, I thank you. Before we kind of start to wrap things up, is there like any last things that we didn't cover that you wanted to talk about?
No, I guess that's it.
I'm a good interviewer. What can I say? I ask all the questions.
Oh, I'm nervous.
Putting you on the spot. Well, I guess where can people find you and connect with you?
Yeah, find me on Instagram, TikTok, SeabassVeganDJ. Check out Fabish, fabish.com. There's a little discount code if you go from my profiles. Just check us out. Yeah. Follow me on TikTok. I be live streaming. I DJ and cook simultaneously.
Oh,
It's a lot of fun.
Shit. You DJ and cook simultaneously. Okay, this I gotta see. We will be there. And when can we come to the parties? Like, how do people find out about what you got going on?
Yeah, just follow me on my social media. I be posting stuff. I do. Going to Denver right now for 10 days, and when I be back, hopefully we'll get some stuff going on in the city. And yeah, if you're ever looking for a vegan DJ for any of your vegan events, hit me up.
Hell yeah. Okay. Yes. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. You know where to find me. I'm at It's Jamie's Corner. And rate this podcast, like it, subscribe. Let me know what you want to see next. And we want to hear what you thought about this episode. Until next time. Bye.
Namaste.
Namaste. Peace, peace, peace. Om Shanti.